Alright, what's happening today, guys? Just wanted to make this video real quick because I got a lot of people that have been asking me this kind of stuff, and I just want to show how I would mix a batch of resin to do fiberglassing projects. A lot of, you can do a ton of things with fiberglass. You can panel stuff off, you can build door pods, you can build tweeter pods, you can build amp rack panels, you can build you can use it for structural purposes inside your box, inside, and it's got more purposes than just, obviously, car audio. You can use the same kind of knowledge and theology and stuff like that in working with boats, working with campers, working with, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to show you guys how to mix up a basic batch of resin. I'm not going to mix up a basic batch of resin because I don't have anything to fiberglass right now. I don't want to waste a batch of fiberglass, but I'm going to show you guys the steps I would do when doing that. So what we have here is, this is not my favorite brand of resin, but because it's so easy to get, that's what I use. It's cheap, $37 a gallon. For me, this, you can see this gallon's empty. I have 2 or 3 more over there. Gotta go through it so fast. You gotta have a lot of it. Anyway, fiberglass resin, cool, got that. So, and I also have, if you guys want this, I actually found this on Google Images when I was searching for an actual scientific way to do this. Resin mixing chart, that's what I searched to find this. And you'll see it looks just like this. You can print it out. I printed one out. I actually have a couple of them just in case I lost this one. Other friend of mine is acetone. And then obviously this is all got fiberglass resin all over it, but it's not dried. So, okay. So what you want to start with is buy yourself some paint mixing cups. That's what this is. Obviously you see this one was bought at Walmart. I think they were like this is like $1 a piece. So obviously you see on the side we've got ounces. If you wanted 10 ounces, obviously 10 ounces is between 8 and 12. 6 ounces between 4 and 8. Pretty basic. Not too hard to screw that up. And the next little trick I got is one of these. I don't know if the camera's gonna pick that up. Maybe we can get it this side. Here we go. See how it says milliliters? That's what we want, milliliters, and on this side it actually says cc's, which is the same, it's no difference. So, now that we've got all the products covered here, let's explain this a little bit. cc's, milliliters, that's your resin mixing cup. Here, this is your hardener mixing cup. So you're gonna measure out your amount of hardener you need based on this chart and your temperature, and mix it with the resin. Pretty straightforward. So let's kind of follow this through here. Let's say you want to mix, let's say 10 ounces of resin. So there's 10 ounces of resin. So the first thing you would do is pour 10 ounces of resin in your cup, or my cup doesn't have 10 ounces on the side, so between the 8 and the 12, 10 ounces. Got it. Next thing I would do is, depending on the project, if you're working with fiberglass mat, chop strand mat, or a material like that, I like to thin the resin. Acetone is a product you can use to thin resin. Now you don't want to add a ton of it, you just want to add a little bit, stir it up, you'll see it, the consistency of the resin gets a lot thinner. The reason why I do this is just so you can use, or just so what happens when you thin it and then add the hardener and mix it all up, is it actually soaks into the mat faster. So your layup time, with layup meaning when you add resin to fiberglass, it's a lot faster because you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to dab and soak it up. You can just pour it in there and it just kind of like quickly soaks into there. Granted, it's a lot more runny, so you're gonna want to make sure you got a lot of underneath your project. You're gonna want to make sure you tape it off real good, so that way you don't get any shit in the bottom of it. But yeah, that's what I've been using. I've been using it for years. You don't have to worry about this necessarily. You want to use this, obviously, all this stuff in a well-ventilated area. This stuff will flash off, it evaporates off the resin, and so what you're left with is your fiberglass resin and hardener without any additives after that flashes off. So, mixing cup, 10 ounces, back to that. 10 ounces, cool, say 1.5 cc's. Well, if we're mixing 1.5 cc's, it's gotta be 98 degrees and up. It's not that warm here. The lowest batch I mix is 1%. I get nervous at 0.75 and 0.5. Because if your fiberglass resin doesn't cure all the way, you use this to get it off, and whatever you got it on, this is what you're gonna have to use to get it off, and it's a pain in the butt. I'd not recommend it. So 1%. So we're gonna mix, like I said, 10 ounces. So what I would do then is I would take my little hardener and I would add, or my little cup here, and I would add 3 cc's. Now there is not on my cups, there's only a 2.5. So I would add just a little bit over 2.5 to call it 3, and good to go. Now by this time, I would have already mixed my acetone, stirred that up. I use popsicle sticks to stir it. You can buy those anywhere. And then from there, when I'm ready to fiberglass, you can let that mixture set out. The only thing with the longer you let it sit out without hardener added to it, it's going to, you're gonna have, trying to think here, this stuff will evaporate off of it, so your resin is gonna get back to being thick again. You don't want that. So it's best to use it fairly quickly. And after if you've added hardener, you wanna be on that, moving on your project real quick. Because after you add hardener, obviously, it does start curing and stuff like that, and you don't want to waste a batch of resin, because like I said, this is an expensive resin, but $37 a gallon. So yeah, so that's pretty much, that's the basics of it. After I mix acetone and the resin, get that stirred up, get that thinned out the way I'm happy with it, add the hardener to that mix, again, thoroughly stir it. I would use my 2-inch chip paintbrush. Harbor Freight's got them probably the best price, 36 for 10 bucks, which is cheap. That's cheap. That's like that. Yeah, that's cheaper than Walmart prices. So then you just take the fiberglass resin, dab it on your brush, and dab it on your fiberglass, and that's the basics of it. This, I guess, is more people's difficult part of, they're scared of this part. And it's not hard. When you take it to a scientific level, and there's no room for error, really. There's a little bit of room for error even in this. But you can't mess it up. You got numbers right there. There's no guesswork. It's no like add 4 drops, add 5 drops, none of that crap. You use this, mix it appropriate with that, stir it in there, and it hardens. Yeah, now as for type of mats you can use, I'll go over that a little bit. I don't want to make this video too long because I want to get to the point and make it simple. There's different weights of mat. I use a 2-ounce chop mat. Most places you're going to buy off the shelf, like Myers, Walmart, places like those, you're going to buy a 0.75 ounce chop mat, which is a lot thinner, so you have to do basically almost triple the layers to get to 2-ounce thickness almost. That's the only difference, is just how thick the fiberglass mat is and how much, the weight. What it is 2 ounces per square foot, and then the stuff from like Walmart or Myers is 0.75 ounces per square foot. So I'm not gonna go keep yammering. This is the point I want to get across. This is what you need to do it. I bought these off of Amazon or eBay. This is just a medicine cup. So if you Google or eBay medicine cup, these come up. I bought these in a pack of 100 for like literally $3. So there's no excuse not to do this. You can buy a pack of 100 of those for like 30 or 40. If you want to go that nuts. Otherwise you can just pay, if you only got a couple projects, you just buy 1 or 2 of them. But that's up to you guys. I'm not making this any longer than it needs to be. So yeah, that's what we got. Let me know if you guys have any more questions or stuff, or another idea you guys want to learn about this, and then I can explain more and go into more depth and detail on some of these procedures and steps and stuff like that if you guys want me to. If not, then this is good enough. We'll get the point across. Thanks for watching, everybody, and if you like what you're seeing here, comment and like and subscribe. Thanks.